All right, in our spotlight, a big endorsement for Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. Americans for Prosperity and Advocacy group backed by billionaire Charles Koch and a network of wealthy conservatives endorsing the former South Carolina governor's presidential campaign and promising to commit its nationwide army of activists and unlimited funds to helping Haley defeat the current GOP frontrunner, former President Donald Trump. There was a memo announcing the group's endorsement. The CEO, Emily Seidel, describes Haley, the former UN ambassador, as you know, as offering America the opportunity to turn the page on the current political era. So Haley, along with the other GOP candidates, are all hoping for an upset in one of the early contests. We're talking about Iowa, New Hampshire, or South Carolina, but they are lagging far behind Trump in the polls by double digits. So I want to bring back our panel here. Mike, John, Julie, and ABC News political director Rick Klein is joining us for this one. Thank you all for being here. So Rick, let's start with you. We're already seeing these new ads out from the AFPA saying that Donald Trump and Joe Biden had their chance. So Rick, what does this endorsement mean for Nikki Haley, not only as an endorsement, but really the funding?
We've had a primary within a primary, and a lot of this has been the race to become the alternative to Donald Trump. And Nikki Haley got a huge boost in that direction with the endorsement of the Koch network's political organization. Look, we've seen a lot of messaging fail in trying to dent Donald Trump, but this is the time where people are paying attention. We're less than 50 days away from Iowa, and this means messaging help. It means financial help. It also means boots on the ground. It means a field organization that has been working now for months, already spent millions of dollars to build itself up, that will now commit itself to try to help Nikki Haley break through.
Right, and John, as Rick just mentioned, so we're some 48 days here from the Iowa caucus. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We know the governor there has already endorsed Ron DeSantis as well. So how do you see this endorsement impacting her ahead of the caucus?
Well, I think it's a very, very significant moment in this campaign. And the dynamic between Trump and Haley right now kind of reminds me like the tortoise and the hare fable, where Trump is way ahead. No one thinks anyone's going to catch him. He's distracted by all these trials and criminal issues he has going on. He's not participating in the debates. And here comes Haley, slowly, steadily, methodically, moving up, gaining every single time. And this is a big leap forward for her. And there's a lot of time left. And history is littered with people who were big-time front-runners who weren't able to close the deal. So if she keeps it close in Iowa, New Hampshire, then pulls off a big upset perhaps in South Carolina or somewhere down the road close after that, this is going to be a real race, and let's just see what happens. But make no mistake, she's slowly, methodically gaining, and she hasn't lost a step the whole way. So it's going to be interesting.
Certainly. And Julie, how worried are Democrats about a possible matchup with Nikki Haley? There's a recent Marquette Law School poll that finds that Haley beating Biden in a head-to-head matchup by 10 points.
Well, first of all, I don't think Democrats are taking anything for granted, including running against Donald Trump next year. But having said that, look, I think the problem for the Republicans is they can't win with Trump, most likely. They certainly can't win without Trump. There's a certain base of the Republican Party that just will not vote for anybody who's not Donald Trump. And can we really imagine that if Donald Trump loses to Nikki Haley, he's going to throw his arms around her and say, I endorse her, go ahead and vote for her? Of course not. He's going to trash her. He's going to trash her probably worse than he's going to trash President Biden. So there's a huge number of Republicans who are going to go along with whatever he says. And where does that leave somebody like a Nikki Haley or anybody else who's not Donald Trump in a general election? It leaves them with a massive, massive hole in their own party support. So before we look at polls that are a year out and think about the fact that anybody's beating President Biden, we have to wonder whether anybody who's not Donald Trump can beat any Democrat while Donald Trump is still alive and refuses to concede any ground to anybody who's not himself.
Yeah, certainly. And Mike, how did Nikki Haley get to her position here? I mean, what is it about her policies that seems to make her the leading alternative to Donald Trump, at least for now?
For now, on the debate stage that we've seen, Nikki Haley has shown the most nuance and practicality in understanding the policies. She has been rooted in logic where moderate Republicans are not used to hearing, but they are now hearing it from Nikki Haley. And in particular, what is going to be one of the biggest issues on the ballot is women's reproductive rights and women's health. And the way that Nikki Haley's position has been, that she has been more on the moderate part of the conversation, in particular where independents could go in the general. So she's always gotten really great bumps coming out of debates where I believe the Koch's support will help partner with the assets on the ground that's needed to help strengthen the bump that she gets with the poll. We're on-the-ground support with activists and data that can strategically target potential Nikki Haley voters.
Yeah, I think she's also been able to showcase her knowledge of foreign policy on those debate stages as well, far outpacing many of the other candidates. And Rick, to you, ABC News polling shows right now that 4 of 10 voters in Iowa and New Hampshire feel that the primary campaign has just started. I actually find those numbers a little bit surprising.
Yeah, look, I think if you're in Iowa or New Hampshire, you might have a different perception. But for most of the country, even this is not really fully engaged. And I've talked to the Koch organization about the data they've gathered. And their view is that when people get more information, they are more likely to support an alternative to Trump. And they point to the early state polls. You look at the 538 polling averages, Trump leading by 40 points or so nationally. But in the early voting states, quote unquote, only 25 points. That looks close, but or not particularly close. But it does mean that there might be something different going on once voters start to engage. And yes, a lot of the data suggests that most voters, despite us covering it all the time, don't feel like this thing's actually started.
Oh, that is fascinating. All right, Mike, John, Julie, and Rick, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.